In the early 1950s, my grandfather, Don Clifton, was teaching psychology at the University of Nebraska when he noticed a major problem. The field of psychology was based almost entirely on the study of what is wrong with people. He began to wonder if it would be more important to study what is right with people. So, over the past 5 decades, Don and his colleagues conducted millions of interviews, focusing on the positive instead of the negative. Early in his research, Don discovered that our lives are shaped by our interactions with others. Whether we have a long conversation with a friend or simply place an order at a restaurant, every interaction makes a difference. The results of our encounters are rarely neutral. They're almost always positive or negative. And although we take these interactions for granted, they accumulate and profoundly affect our lives. During the course of Don's work in the 1990s, a new field of study emerged, positive psychology, which focuses on what is right with people. Today, many of the world's leading scientists study the effects of positive emotions. In 2002, Don's pioneering work was recognized by the American Psychological Association, which cited him as the grandfather of positive psychology and the father of strength psychology. That same year, Don learned that an aggressive and terminal cancer had spread throughout his body. Knowing his time was limited, he spent his final months doing what he did best and what people who knew him well would have expected, helping others focus on the positive. Although Don had already written several books, including the bestseller Now Discover Your Strengths, he asked me to join him in writing one last book, one based on a theory he created in the 1960s. People had been asking Don to write this book for decades as a result of the theory's popularity. Over the last 40 years, more than 5,000 organizations and 1 million people have applied this theory, and people always passed it along to friends, colleagues, and loved ones. Based on a simple metaphor of a dipper and a bucket, Don's theory carried profound implications and simplified his life's work for others. So in his final months, Don and I worked night and day to assemble the most compelling discoveries he had gathered over a half-century of work. Although Don was undergoing chemotherapy and radiation, we continued to work on this book whenever he had the energy, which was the majority of the time. We sat in his study for hours, reviewing the research, statistics, and stories we thought you would find compelling. As Don's health deteriorated, I read sections to him and took notes on his feedback. He reviewed every section, wanting each story and insight to resonate with you. For my part, I was honored to be Don's partner in creating this book. He was my mentor, teacher, role model, and friend. We were exceptionally close, and I cherished the time we had together. I had always been motivated and inspired by his vision. And Don knew that I had been touched deeply by this theory throughout my life. As we will describe in Chapter 4, applying Don's theory of the dipper in the bucket energized and possibly saved me in my own battles with cancer. In hindsight, I think this project also gave Don additional energy in the final stages of his fight with cancer. He had spent his life trying to make the world a better place, one person at a time, and he understood that completing this book would make a difference. We finished our first draft of this book just weeks before his death in September of 2003. Over the 79 years of Don's life, he touched millions of individual lives through his books, teaching, and the global business he built. Don reached so many people as a result of his unwavering belief in helping individuals and organizations focus on what is right. As you listen to this book, we hope that you will discover the power of bucket filling in your own life.
The Theory of the Dipper and the Bucket.
Each of us has an invisible bucket. It is constantly emptied or filled, depending on what others say or do to us. When our bucket is full, we feel great. When it's empty, we feel awful. Each of us also has an invisible dipper. When we use that dipper to fill other people's buckets, by saying or doing things to increase their positive emotions, we also fill our own bucket. But when we use that dipper to dip from others' buckets, by saying or doing things that decrease their positive emotions, we diminish ourselves. Like the cup that runneth over, a full bucket gives us a positive outlook and renewed energy. Every drop in that bucket makes us stronger and more optimistic. But an empty bucket poisons our outlook, saps our energy, and undermines our will.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.